Hi and welcome back to Global 8D. This is Discipline 2. We've already done D0, which is about putting in an emergency response action to protect your customer, and you've defined you've actually got a problem. In other words, you've shown you've got a performance gap. In D1, you've got the team together, and now we're in D2, which is about describe the problem, which comes in two parts. The first part is the problem statement. The problem statement is simply what is wrong with what. What is wrong, the symptom or the effect that you're experiencing, with what on the object or the process where that effect is happening. And then the second thing we do is the problem description itself. So in terms of the problem statement, you get in the car, turn the ignition, it doesn't start. What is wrong with what? The car will not start. Okay? So let's get into problem description. And describing the problem uses the is not template. What we have up here is the problem statement. So using the car example, what is wrong with what? We put car will not start. So that's what goes up there. Down this side, we've got what the problem is. And on this side, we've got what the problem logic could be, but is not. Okay, so let's look at this in a little bit of detail. What we're going to look at is what the problem is in terms of what, where, when, and how big. So what on the object, what the defect, where on the object, when first observed, where seen since, and when it was first observed. So that is the is. Now what we're doing here is gathering data. On this side we've got what is not. Now you could say, well, I know what the problem is not, but this is actually logically is not. Could be, but is not. So this is what it could be, but is not. Now to explain that a little bit further, I'm going to use an example in a moment, but first of all, let me think about this data. What we're going to do, we've got this problem, okay? We know we've got this problem. What we're going to do now is start to use the tools to dig down and down and down until we get to a validated, verified root cause. That's the object of this. So let's have a look at this example. Okay, and the example I want to use is, I want you to imagine that we're manufacturing pens, felt tip pens like these, okay? What's happened is that in the stores, in finished packets in the stores, we found some leaking pens. It's not all the colours, it's just the blue. Okay, so we've got blue leaking pens. Now the leak itself is around the nib, so it's around that bit there. It's not anywhere else, it's there. So what I'm going to do is use that example, and we're going to go through how to fill the sheet in. So what do we know? We're going to talk about the problem statement. We know we've got leaking blue pens. That's all we know. So blue pen leaking. Okay, so we're going to start looking at the is. So the object. What's the object? Well, it's blue pens. Defect or the symptom is leaks. Where on the object? If you remember, I said around the tip. Where was it first observed? In the stores, in finished packets. So, stores, finished packs. Where seen since? Well, since we've seen it in the stores, we've actually gone back and looked up the line, and we found that we've got some in the finished packs at the end of assembly, but also in the individual pens at the end of assembly. So, we're going to say in packing and end of assembly. When was it first observed? Well, that'll be when we were in the store. So it was today. So we'll put today's date. Then we go on to do other things. We'll get back to that in a moment. Where is it? What is it not? Okay, we've done the is. We're now looking at the is not. So what object? Well, we know it is the blue pens, but logically, it could have been the red, the green, the pink, the black, but it's not. So what we're saying, it's not any other colour. Logically could be, but it's not. What is defect? Well, it's leaks. Yeah? It's not the pen's going dry, so it's leaks. So it's not dry. Where was it seen? Around the tip. Well, it could have been actually from the barrel itself. It might have been from the cap. So logic could have been the barrel, but it's not, or the cap, as it's not. Where was it first observed? In the stores. We didn't see it anywhere else, so we would say nowhere else. Could have been, but it was not. Where has it been seen since? Well, it could have been seen anywhere else. And it could have been seen at the customer. But we now know that it's not. Logic could have got in, because it could have got it out and it could have gone to the customer. And when was it first seen? Any time before. Okay, now we do this down. If we couldn't fill one of these in, we'll go off and get information and data. So what I'd like to do now is look at a completed example. So we've got blue pens leaking, and we've got the whole of the ears. So we've already seen this. Okay, so I put here last Monday. How many affected? 15% of the finished product. It's a slow leak, so we've actually defined how big the leak is. We've measured how much ink we're losing per hour. And it's leaking from one area around the tip. So when we said it was leaking from the tip earlier, I indicated it was around the tip. But now we're saying it's one specific area around the tip. Okay? So we know a little bit more about the problem. When we get down here is trend. Well, actually, we're very early in the problem. So we're saying here, we need to get some more information. So let's keep collecting data and see how we go on. In the ears not, we've said and no other colour. Dry out, overfill. It's from the cap or from the barrel. It could be, logically could be, but it is not. It's not anywhere else. Not before we first saw it on Monday, could be. It's constant. It's not increasing or decreasing as far as we can see at the moment. It's not more or less than the 15%, could be, but it's not. More or less volume, so the leak's not bigger or smaller, it's fairly consistent. And leaking, and it's not leaking all around the tip, where it actually could be, but now we know it's in one particular position. So, we've completed our is not. We've got our problem description now. We know how big the problem is, we know what the problem is. What we need to do now is update the Global 8D report in D2 and then circulate the report.